St. Petersburg, December 22, 1849. A small group of prisoners was led into a square outside the military barracks. Among them stood a young man, Fyodor Dostoevsky, 28 years old, a writer, a dreamer, an idealist. He had already heard the sentence, death by firing squad. His heart raced, his hands trembled, the snow crunched beneath his feet, a priest murmured prayers, the officers gave commands, the rifles were raised. Dostoevsky closed his eyes, ready to die. And then a messenger arrived. A sealed letter was handed to the commander. The execution was halted. The Tsar had pardoned the prisoners at the last minute. Dostoevsky had been seconds from death. He would never forget the terror, the silence, the snow, nor the strange, sudden gift of life. But why was he here at all? Just months earlier, Dostoevsky had been part of the Petrashevsky Circle, a group of young intellectuals who met to discuss banned books, social reform and freedom of thought. To the Tsar's secret police, these were not harmless discussions. They were dangerous ideas, seeds of rebellion. So the group was arrested, interrogated and condemned as traitors. Dostoevsky's punishment was transformed from death to hard labor in Siberia. 4 years in a prison camp, followed by forced military service. It wasn't mercy, but exile. The years in Siberia were years of silence and survival. Dostoevsky lived among men condemned for murder, theft and violence, men who had lost everything. The air in the barracks was thick with sweat and despair. They slept on wooden planks, ate black bread and cabbage soup, and endured the icy winters with rags for clothing. When his sentence ended, Dostoevsky was sent to serve as a soldier in the remote Siberian town of Omsk. There he met the widow Maria Dmitrievna Isaeva, whom he married in 1857. The marriage was troubled, marked by illness and poverty, but it gave Dostoevsky a fragile sense of connection to the world again. In 1859 he was finally allowed to return to St. Petersburg. He returned to a city that had changed in his absence. The literary circles that once celebrated his early works had forgotten his name. Still, he began to write again, pouring his prison memories into notes from the House of the Dead, a work that shocked readers with its raw humanity and psychological depth. He also published The Insulted and Injured and co-founded a literary journal with his brother Mikhail. But money was always short, and tragedy seemed never far away. His wife died in 1864, and soon after his beloved brother also passed away, leaving him responsible for Mikhail's debts. Hounded by creditors, Dostoevsky wrote at a frantic pace. To meet the deadlines imposed by publishers, he agreed to deliver a new novel within a few months. Out of that pressure came Crime and Punishment, the story of a young student who commits murder in search of moral freedom and finds only torment. The book made him famous. Around that time, he hired a young stenographer, Anna Grigorievna Snitkina, to help him complete The Gambler in just 26 days. She was efficient, intelligent and kind, and within a year she became his second wife. Anna would prove to be the great stabilizing force in his life. She managed his finances, protected his copyrights, and stood by him through illness and debt. Actually, she played a crucial role as his stenographer. Dostoevsky often dictated in intense bursts of emotion which could leave him exhausted, so Anna needed both stamina and patience. She would prepare a quiet space for him to work, ensuring he could focus despite his chronic health problems and the distractions of everyday life. Anna also organized the pages, numbered them, and maintained multiple copies to prevent loss, a vital task in the 19th century when manuscripts were easily damaged. Beyond stenography, she sometimes helped him plan the structure of his novels, reminded him of previous plot points, and even suggested minor corrections. In practice, she acted as an editorial collaborator, though she was never formally credited as such. But Dostoevsky could not escape his demons. He was a compulsive gambler, losing money in the casinos of Wiesbaden, Baden-Baden and other European spas. He would gamble away everything, then write feverishly to recover his losses. In his letters he spoke of the despair and fascination of roulette, the cruel mathematics of chance that mirrored his own struggle with fate. Despite these storms, his creativity only deepened. He wrote The Idiot, Demons and finally The Brothers Karamazov, his masterpiece, a vast novel that gathered all the questions of his life: faith and doubt, guilt and grace, the meaning of suffering. When Dostoevsky died in 1881 at the age of 59, thousands of mourners followed his coffin through the streets of St. Petersburg. His grave became a place of pilgrimage. Dostoevsky's influence on world culture is vast and enduring. His novels transformed the art of storytelling, turning the novel into a space for moral, psychological and philosophical exploration. Before him, literature often described society. After him, it explored the human soul. He revealed revealed the conflicts between reason and faith, freedom and guilt, love and cruelty, questions that became central to modern thought. Philosophers such as Nietzsche, Freud, and Sartre drew from his work. Nietzsche called him the only psychologist from whom I have anything to learn, and Freud considered the Brothers Karamazov one of the greatest achievements of world literature. His characters, Raskolnikov, Ivan Karamazov, Prince Mishkin, became archetypes of modern consciousness, struggling with doubt, isolation, and moral responsibility. Long before the term existed, Dostoevsky articulated the essence of existentialism, the idea that human beings are free but burdened by that freedom, condemned to choose and to bear the weight of their choices. His vision extended far beyond literature, influencing psychology, theology, and even political thought. In the 20th century, writers like Camus, Kafka, and Sartre, as well as filmmakers and artists around the world, found in Dostoevsky a mirror of the modern condition, a voice that spoke of man's capacity for both evil and redemption, despair and grace. More than a novelist, he became a moral witness to the depths and contradictions of the human spirit. Thank you for watching Personality Matters. See you next time.